You cannot live your life eternally being a people pleaser. No one is going to give you a badge for being that low maintenance girl who will put up with anything. You could also demand the same respect and treatment that that person is getting, because a man is going to give you the kind of treatment that you make him believe that you want. If you don't speak up for yourself, you will end up stuck with the kind of treatment that you have settled for. So if the dream is to be like this, but you constantly find yourself looking like this, then you really need to watch this video, because it's time you stop surviving and start thriving. This is 2024, and see, if you really want to manifest your authentic feminine self, you cannot afford to keep living in survival mode, hanging desperately at the mercies of others and allowing them to string you along. And it's more important to watch this video, because I'm going to share with you the exact principles that have transformed me from that desperate girly girlfriend to the wife woman who has the power to choose any man at all she wants, because she has found her feminine self. Whether it's in dating with friends at the workplace, we give people discounts of our lives every day when we pretend to love the treatment they give us, although it is not in our best interests. And the reason you need to urgently put an end to this is because you cannot pretend for long. Because naturally, we programmed to become defensive against any treatment that endangers our comfort. Discounting your word is going to bring you to an emotional crash. And because you're not properly channeling your emotions and addressing your concerns when you feel more treated, you're going to end up redirecting all that negative energy onto your loved ones. Stop becoming so harsh and calloused in order to protect yourself. And this will no longer work for your femininity, because it militates the very virtue of softness. The only way to prevent yourself from having an emotional crash is by speaking up for yourself when you feel cheated. Do not be a people pleaser. In courtships and dating, we discount our word every single time that we accept bare minimum treatment, although we can get better treatment from the same person. Why are you settling for sand when you can get gold from the same person? Why do you feel like you need to please him and do everything he wants you to do, although you know that behind the scenes, these things make you uncomfortable? You cannot live your life eternally being a people pleaser. And you know what? We try to discount our word because we don't believe that we are worthy enough to receive the things that we could ask for. And now listen, no one is going to give you a badge for being that low maintenance girl who will put up with anything. If you don't speak up for yourself, you will end up stuck with the kind of treatment that you have settled for. If you really want to become feminine and get men to see you as high value, you don't have to settle. A lot of us will sit down, observe other ladies, and we are like, oh, this is so beautiful. God, why me? Why not me? You could also demand the same respect and treatment that that person is getting, because a man is going to give you the kind of treatment that you make him believe that you want. The only problem is that you don't see yourself worthy enough to ask for it. Stop discounting your worth. Stop settling, because it breeds frustration. And the more frustrated you are, the more you become tense. And we all know that desperation and frustration are not attributes of femininity. If you find yourself constantly stuck in victimhood, you are insecure, and you are reactive to the very little things that do not even matter, then it's time that you embrace the fact that there are certain aspects of your past that you need to work on. You need to give yourself closure. Living in your wounded feminine self makes it hard for you to believe in yourself. You find yourself unable to set standards. You cannot live in your truth if you're wounded. It is not your fault that situations that you cannot control left you wounded. But it's gonna be your fault if you remain like this. Quote, healing is your responsibility. One luxury that we all do not have is the luxury of choosing where to be born or the kind of conditions in which we grew up. And so if you have some kind of trauma because of where you grew up or the conditions in which you found yourself, you need to give yourself the permission to let go and get healed, because nobody deserves to live with the past haunting them every single time. If you had to become the man in your life because you had nobody stepping up for you when you were growing up, I think it is now time for you to trust and allow that young man the opportunity to be there for you. I know it can get really hard to trust again, especially if you've been beaten over and over again. But you cannot deny yourself the joy of living in the present by holding over the very bitter emotions that left you where you are. If you grew up low self-esteem because you were made to believe that you're worthless, this is the time to create a better reality for yourself. You will only remain worthless if you don't give yourself the chance to think otherwise. It's more like an inner child work. You have to connect with yourself and accept all sides of whom you are and give yourself the opportunity to think better about yourself. The reason hobbies are a very integral part of this journey is because it does not only give you a solace away from the hustle and bustle of life, but it makes you a really interesting person to be around. Outdoor hobbies especially help us to get around people who are like-minded, and we are able to create connections that, who knows, in the future could help us pull a string or two. There's no mandatory at all to have a lot of hobbies, but you should not limit yourself to just one hobby. You need to have hobbies that can engage you intellectually, creatively, and physically. Hobbies like dancing help us to really get connected to our body, because as women, the more we move, the more we allow our hips to flow, and our movements become very graceful and fluid. There's so much value to learn from creative hobbies like needlework and art, because it teaches us a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of patience to be able to come up with an idea, design it, and then start the making process. By the time you are able to finish with that work, you've gone through a whole lot of emotions that would teach you many lessons that you cannot learn being idle. It's also very good to have intellectual hobbies because they really make us smart. And there's no way you're going to have all this going on in your life and not be able to have intellectually stimulating conversations. So for a very long time, I built a very thick wall around myself because I was afraid that they were going to take advantage of my vulnerability. But you cannot be feminine without being real, because vulnerability is a very birthplace of genuineness. You don't have to be strong 24/7. You should be able to share your life and issues that ail you, people that you trust who can help you. Allowing yourself to carry your burdens all alone is not necessary, because there are people all around us who would not hesitate to run to our aid to we put in the word. No man was created to be an island, and although you don't have to overshare your life, make sure that you are able to open up so others could have a blessing of making your life comfortable. When I say get connected with your body, I don't mean to talk about new age practices at all. I mean that we start feeling frazzled anytime that we stop living in the direction of our values. The moment our emotions and values stop aligning with our body, we're gonna feel disconnected from our very soul. And that is why we need to embrace and practice intentional living. It's important to nurture your body, mind, soul, and spirit. And one way of doing this is by intentionally pursuing practices that make you get closer to God and also makes you feel at peace with yourself. Self-concept is everything. It dictates your mood, your speed, and everything in your life. As women who want to become really feminine, we cannot do this by brooding over negativity all the time. You are what you say about yourself, hence there's a need to prophesy good things over your life. If you used to think that you're clumsy and ugly, start thinking otherwise, because obviously God did not make a mistake with you. You were wonderfully and beautifully created, and that your soul should know. So guys, thank you so much for making it this far. If you enjoyed this video, then watch this nurse, and until I see you there, take care.